First board meeting. Glad you're here with us tonight. Why don't we all stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so before we go into the agenda tonight, we will start with item 4, which is comments from the public. So I'd ask if anybody would like to speak on an item that's not on tonight's agenda. All right, no problem. Hearing none, so why don't we go to item 5, which is adopting tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion for that? Second. All in favor? All right, motion carries. And then can I get a motion to adopt a consent agenda, item 6, personnel, 7, special services, and 8, business. Second. All in favor? All right, that motion carries as well. So that brings us to the unfinished business of board goals. So last time we went through them, so I won't go through them again tonight, but certainly if anybody has any questions, comments, thoughts about any of the goals that we went through last time, there's absolutely an opportunity to make any adjustments we want to make. And then once we have that discussion, we can decide whether we want to ratify these tonight or at the next meeting. So I open it up to the floor if anybody has any thoughts.
Move to approve the goals.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Okay. So that's super because this is perfect timing to approve them. Now we will measure ourselves by that.
We just got there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the easy part.
Oh, you will.
Yeah, there's a long list of goals there, so it'll be a fruitful year, I'm sure. So from there we go to staff reports.
Tim, are you up?
All right, I get your first gen, is that
Yeah.
get yours going? I have to get to the right slide. So you were 107, Jen, is that, was it?
Yeah, 107 in my slide deck for the past month. All right. Okay, next thing. So first, when we get started right now, I want to talk about what's been happening in the schools, some changes that we've seen. We're happy to have our first full week of school this week, even though September is ending, I think at the end of this week or early next week, right? We are just hitting our first full week, our first stride. So much has changed at Coman Hill and Wampus. I wanted to highlight a few of those things. Our student learning Character Strong, our social emotional learning program is being piloted in grade 3 during Encore with our new school counselor, Ann Schmidt. That is working really well. ELA for K-5 is focused on particular reading materials in the hands of children through this Wonders program. We're so happy to have continued outdoor learning spaces thanks to the the BHEF and the PTSA. We have a return to regular library, fine arts, PE sessions in classrooms, gyms, and cafeteria. We've made some changes in seating structures and cafeterias. I did have an opportunity to meet with the parents who came to our last board meeting who were asking questions about masking, and a really great group of parents came to visit me, some who are present here, who had some good suggestions about, well, can't we do this, and can't we remind kids when they go outside they take their masks off? We've put a lot of those pieces into place at Coman Hill, having kids still socially distanced eating, but facing each other, just sort of creating a better sense of community. I was really receptive to and happy about that feedback because I thought it was something we could really do for kids, and I think it's made a big difference. It's nice to see the kids, especially at the K-5 level. Specials have been eye-opening for a few reasons. Remember, we had kids in cohorts last year, so transitions were not a word. It was not a word we were using. Kids transitioning. Now we're seeing kids in a classroom transitioning, getting up, going to the library, transitioning, coming back to class, going to their specials. And there's a lot of independence that comes about with that transition that we didn't realize until we brought the kids back. And we're like, oh wow, this needs a restructuring and supporting kids in how to make those transitions. So that's been a big focus at the elementary level. Learning to learn in these new environments has just been outstanding for them. Other than that, music and instrument lessons, yay, return has been long awaited. Our children are participating in instrument and chorus for the first time since March of 2020. Our learning in this arena has been that we really need to be patient with the kids and do little things with greatness. So our kids are communicating as they understand their instruments and what they're now picking up for the first time. Peggy and Karen have been reiterating to them, remember to go slow with the kids to gain momentum fast, because this is something they may not be used to. Intramurals, yay, at Wampus, return of intramurals provides another opportunity for them to interact with each other on grade levels, competitive play in an organized setting, and facilitating competitive games. So how nice to say that all of this is happening in our K-5 schools. HCC, we know, new schedule implementation was huge. The XPOD to begin the day, a shorter time than last year, but really effective for this smaller sense of community. These kids are going from singleton classrooms to a much larger environment in the middle school, where you even are mixing classes by 7th and 8th grade. So the XPOD is a good place for that community to start. They had an HCC orientation for all students. They had an hour-long XPOD for them for the first 2 days to review schedules, teach students how to use Flex Time Manager, organize lockers, walk to school to be comfortable with the physical layout of the school, get to know one another. And then for student-directed learning, they rolled it out on September 13th. In its first few days, students have been able to choose activities. Lots of positive conversations and a buzz. They're discussing workshops they would like to take for the week or the day. Workshops include extra help, maker space, creative writing, Lego spike exploration, mindful art, Shark Tank, world culture explorations, intramurals, Crittenden commentary, which is a feedback loop or a voice circle with Mr. Ancona and Ms. Lappel. Like even the administrators are stepping in and doing part of that, which is great. All 6th graders met all of their guidance staff and had structured orientation, meetings with them, just really getting kids back and acclimated into school. And it's something that we didn't really think too much about before COVID, right? We had like the introduction when you were in 8th grade, for example, you went to 9th grade, you went to the high school for the day, you got a sense of it, maybe you came over the summer, you looked at your locker, and then you came into school. Everything is being geared now toward many small moments, interactions, and actually getting to the point that kids are adjusting to the environment before they get there. We do that for teachers. Over the summer, all of our new teachers are coming in for new teacher orientation. They always tell us by the time they start in September, they feel like they've been working here for 6 months, right? And that's the way you want it to be. You want it to be a familiarity and not a brand newness on the first day. So that's been really going well. Crittenden Commons, donated by the BHEF, that multi-use court, and then the district put in the amphitheater seating. Kim says that they're utilizing the space to play basketball and volleyball during SDL and lunch. Teachers have utilized the spaces during class times too, and they're maximizing that usage. And then lunch, they're using Flex Time Manager. Kids sign in for specific locations, either the cafeteria, the back gym, outside or inside. On rainy days, they add another 3 locations for kids to be inside, but a lot of the kids are choosing outdoor spaces for lunch. And music band orchestra are singing and playing with the necessary precautions. And after school activities will begin September 20th. So a lot happening in our schools. And at the high school, new master schedule, as you know, with the community lunch period, which we've experienced quite a few times. Of course, at first, kids are trying to figure out where they're sitting, where they're going, which is the 6-foot room, which is the, right? Chris said that they had about 80 students sitting outside for lunch yesterday. So the kids are really taking advantage of the outside space. The opening office hours are becoming more structured as work gets more rigorous. Increase of the class time, remember, from 49 to 64 minutes. 5 classes meeting each day in the 8-day cycle. So kids, so far to Chris, are reporting lower levels of stress from homework since the classes don't meet every day. So after you get over the shock of, oh, I have this homework, but I only have homework for these classes and it's not due tomorrow necessarily. So once kids get into a habit of that, they understand how much more manageable it is. And Schoolwide Club Fair was held this week, today, whether, or not, kids are going to be getting into those clubs, they have an opportunity to meet the club advisors and introduce all the clubs and activities to students. I think we have, Gina, do you remember how many clubs? Is it 70, 78 or something like that? We have quite a few clubs at the high school. Wellness Wednesdays are on the way to embed wellness practice for students, and they're going to be done during office hours each Wednesday morning in the library, another offering. And then our new podcasting course, pretty cool, is underway, although the teacher is on leave, but the course will eventually have students producing their own podcasts, and it's being managed by somebody else right now, so kids are not losing out on their experience. So that is what is happening in the schools, and I think, Tim, we're ready for our next slide. Yay, to our 2022 National Merit Scholarship Program recipients, Olivia Adeo, Ryan Bernstein, John Dokai, and Jane Zeltner. So congratulations to the four of them. They've been selected as semifinalists, and these seniors are now competing for 7,500 National Merit Scholarships worth nearly $30 million that will be afforded in the spring. So fantastic, hardworking, all four of them.
Wonderful accomplishment.
Incredible. Tim, the next one, now we have part of Global Scholars Action Plan to address international war crimes. Our senior, Emily Hollander, wrote an essay for the John Sexton Essay Contest comparing the role of majority religions in the Holocaust. Her work was selected from hundreds of submissions as one of 9 finalists.
Wow.
As an honorable mention award winner, in addition to a cash prize, she won a mentorship with NYU President Emeritus John Sexton. Her essay is published on the contest webpage, and congratulations on it. And we have our homecoming schedule. This is our Spirit Week for homecoming, and we do have lights. Thank you, Kelly Seibert, for supply chain issues occurring, and the original company giving us the lights didn't have them available anymore, and Kelly worked some magic today, and we will have lights.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was going to ask everybody to come out with flashes. So we have a lot of games lined up. These are just the home games, and we will have many away games happening during the course of the week as well. And I think they are trying to add another home game for field hockey also, so we're going to be looking out for that. And then the last is Barn Hills Education Foundation is hosting an outdoor family movie night, which is going to take place on October 3rd on our turf field with food trucks and concessions, watching Sandlot, which I'm sure many of the parents can probably recite the lines of because we all saw it when we were kids, I think, right? And that should be great. Last night, the BHEF hosted an outdoor event at Modern Barn for kindergarten and first grade parents. It was so nice to see parents meeting each other, so many new parents to the district. I actually stumbled upon a group of parents who said they wanted to introduce themselves because they were like a specific bus stop in a specific area. They're like, oh, we're all neighbors. We'd like to introduce ourselves to you. So it's kind of nice to get people together in that fashion. I mean, this isn't typical school year. So anytime that we can get parents together to meet each other and start building community is fantastic.
I'm glad you included the first graders.
Oh, me
They
too.
missed that last year.
They missed it last year, so it was great.
The other thing-
BHCSD does a great job including everyone into the community.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been very well received is just having some opportunities for parents to go into the buildings for certain
Oh, yeah.
information nights, and
Yeah.
that's been really helpful.
Yeah. And, obviously back to school nights is just too many people in one crowded space. But like having a principal's coffee today at the high school, in the school,
So nice.
it's so nice and welcome and
Yeah. The little things we took for
little
granted.
things, I know. And then the next one, Tim, we have the Wampus School, the PTSA donated. Now this is on the bus side of the building, not the side that's closest to Crittenden. That awning is huge. I went out, we saw one of the teachers out there with her kids having full class underneath the awning, right? So we are installing benches along that side where that wall is, and on the other side, it's gonna be a perfect learning spot and an arrival spot. Yeah, it's perfect. We put lighting underneath it, so it's fantastic.
Regular lighting or heated lighting, the heat lights?
No, not the heat lights.
No, the heat lamps, really, like for the winter.
I think that's only, I don't know about that.
Pretty cool.
I think we're not allowed to have
I
that.
don't think so with the, awning.
Yeah, with the plastic over it, I think it's not
Heat
gonna.
lamps not permitted?
No.
A very nice
I'm gonna look
idea.
at the SED regulations.
Right, and next, Tim, we also want to extend our thanks to the BHEF. This is the multi-use corridor, half of it, at Crittenden, and just the Bottom Hills BHEF logo that's on the padding. And to thank them for that, that is going to be highly overutilized this year, which I'm so happy
Yeah,
about.
that's great.
And then, Tim, the last one is just about COVID-19 testing, just to update the community on what we're doing with that testing. We had quite a few people volunteer to be tested in the 20% that we're going to be testing every week. This week, we will test anyone who's willing to test. We are also testing individuals, staff and faculty and administrators. Depending upon their vaccination status, we will test anyone weekly who is not vaccinated or they have an option to bring us a PCR test from a certified lab. So we've been doing that. I know that Friday night, Gina and Kelly and I don't know what time we were here till like 7:30 or something Friday night. I know Gina was here alone last night until 9:30 working on this. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to get this testing out to not only our kids, but to receive all the vaccinations and everything from individual employees, but all to fulfill a mandate and to keep us safe. So Gina, thank you, because that's a lot.
Thank you, and also it should be noted, because I was on a call earlier today with board presidents from around the county, that a lot of schools are still trying to figure this out. And we
Yeah.
did it, all last year. And
They don't
this
have
year.
Gina and Kelly.
So,
So, yeah, I mean, Kelly was,
Not everybody-
Kelly had all of the office staff, like people were, like putting stickers so, you can do the barcode and see the directions. Office staff were putting those stickers on these tubes. Kelly was putting individual labels, and Gina, I mean, they've been just at it for weeks.
Thank you so much.
is the
So-
turnaround time from the lab still gonna be the same
Yes.
as last year, and it won't be worse because of all this
Nope.
volume going in?
Yeah, probably less.
That's great,
Yeah, they've streamlined the process a little more.
perfect.
Yeah, it's interesting times. So, trying to get that. And then it's funny because I work in a school district where we have this testing every week. And my husband and I are going to an outdoor party where everybody has to be vaccinated and has to be tested. And I'm wondering like, where am I getting a test?
CVS.
CVS? I mean, I don't even know. And I'm in a place where testing is like,
Yes.
it's a word that's being spoken 50,000 times a day. And I don't know where to go get one on my own.
Lori's right.
Yeah, so it's good that we are providing this,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, for the people who want to volunteer and do this and make sure they're safe, it is good for us. We've had a couple of quarantines already, not much resulting in quarantines of others, just the COVID positive person. Occasionally, we've had a few extra people involved. But what helps is that a lot of our high school and middle school kids are vaccinated. So when they're exposed, as long as they had masks on, we're not needing to quarantine them. So, that's been a big help as far as quarantining large groups of kids. Remember last year, we just had to do like the whole class, the whole bus, like whatever it was. So a lot has changed in that regard. And that is all I have to say.
Great, appreciate it,
Report.
thank you. Thanks for a great start to the year.
Thank you.
Tim?
And sure, I just had one thing I want to report on. I went into the Authentic Science Research classroom last week and
Yeah.
captured a moment when the teachers were talking with the kids. It was like the 4th or 5th day of school. And the discussion was around what is an ideal science research student. Now, many of parents in our community and many of you in this room have had students in there, and you might be able to answer some of these questions. But our teachers are always trying to help kids become self-aware. It's part of the program. And this is a rigorous program where kids are learning content just, at the college level and even beyond the college level. But then as they were talking about this, I was thinking about what they're having kids focus on and having kids self-assess as they make kids aware of their own behaviors. And they're looking at the dispositions that it takes to be a science research student. You have to be able to take command of the content, but there's also learning dispositions, and that's part of what we want to assess kids on, and they were doing that with the students. The beauty of our science research program is that we have students at all years of the program, 10th, 11th, and 12th, so they learn from each other, and the younger students get to learn from the older students and their experience. So as I walked in, they had this on the board on the right, the ideal research student, and there's 3 big areas that the teachers have kids reflect on: depth of knowledge, personal responsibility, and improvement. And under each of those are some indicators. Under depth of knowledge, about curiosity. Are you open-minded to new ideas? Do you ask relevant questions? There's wisdom, finding gaps in the literature, using resources wisely. How do you use resources? There's personal responsibility, community initiative, and self-awareness, and there's indicators there, like having organized systems for yourself, meeting deadlines, which we know is important in the real world. And then under improvement, there's growth, grit, and reflectiveness, and then indicators. And part of what students have to do on a regular basis is meet with their classroom teacher and self-assess on these areas, so that we're making students become self-aware of how they are doing this. As you know, these kids,
Who developed that?
our science research teachers.
That's terrific.
They're
They,
fantastic.
yeah, they're really amazing in the sense that we know that every year in the spring, we will celebrate these students and their achievement. There's not one time we give a traditional test or quiz in that class. It's all performance-based. And we should be assessing students on the behaviors that lead to that performance and have them reflect on it. And we've had students doing this over the years. They finally formalize this into a self-assessment process. And every year, our science research team comes together for a retreat, and they reflect on the program, and they think about an area they want to improve upon, and they're always refining the program. So this, I thought, when I was listening to the kids discuss it, and I was listening to the older students talk about it with the younger students, and say, you know, this one's really important, and this really helped me. You just realize how much we're giving these kids to prepare them for their academic studies and their careers when they go into the real world. We're giving them the learning disposition that they need to be lifelong learners, and that is above and beyond the content that they're taking from this course. And it's really amazing, and it was really exciting to see these students having that discussion.
Tim, I like that this represents, it's an ideal research student, but it's leadership, right? We're creating leaders of the next generation. And I looked at this and I thought, could this be used as an assessment of the superintendent, right? Do I ask relevant questions? Am I excited to learn? Do I form new connections? Do I have faith in myself and show humility, right? Am I persistent and adaptive and resilient? Like this is,
Scott? take
well,
that.
don't,
Yeah,
yeah, you
for
could
the
use that.
That's right.
But I mean, this is a leadership rubric also,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And we talk about that when we've talked about creating
great.
the leaders of the next generation. Part of us is, well, what does that really mean? And a lot of our discussion has been centered around the fact that we want students to own their learning. Part of being leadership is taking command of who you are as a person and being in control of what you do. And helping kids step outside of the learning and reflect on these things. Like, well, yeah, you just need to work on your deadlines. You're late all the time. You can't do that in the real world. You can't do that in college. So how can we help you? K-12 education is about preparing students for that next stage. And we're here to teach them. And so part of this is something we've been talking throughout the district is focusing on learning dispositions as well as to the mastery of content and balancing those two in all of our classrooms in the district. So this is a place where I think they've refined it for probably a decade or more, where they've really focused on this. And I thought it was a nice highlight for the day.
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and then in addition to science information, you also gain incredible amount of communication skills in the program. That's, I think, the other thing that almost, it's not intuitive, but the amount of presentation skills and writing skills that you learn in that class.
Yes, I've interviewed science research students before at the end of the year and asked them about that, and they all talk about the fact that they have to stand up in front of their peers constantly and present and get feedback. And that was really, like at first when you do that to kids, I used to do it in my math class, just normal math class, make kids stand up and present. And you could just see how at first they were like scared to death. But then once you build a community and a classroom community where you trust each other and there's respect, then it's not as fearful because you know it's helping you get better. And that takes a trusting environment. It speaks a lot to the community building that has to take place in a classroom, because you can't do that in a classroom where you feel like people are making fun of you. But you can do it when you have respectful dialogue, you respect each other's points of view, when you're able to say, yeah, I'm not seeing it, I have to trust that you're giving me feedback to help me get better. So it's really amazing when you see that, and some of you have lived through that with your own children, so you know what that looks like and feels like.
And right now, the seniors are looking for editors of senior papers. So they do this where like Tim and I,
Yeah.
and Gina, you
Gina's
did it
gonna
too
do it
last
this
year, right? Or you're doing it this year? Tim and I know did it last year where we had a couple of students and they would present to us and they asked us to read their papers, right? Like, so we were,
Give them feedback.
they're presenting and, have the confidence to do so, right?
Yeah, so we try to, there's, the content eligibility might not always understand it to the depth they do,
Yeah.
which is hard for us, but it's also, am I getting the big concept or not, and are you communicating well? But it's sort of fun to do.
And it's real world skills. They're not thinking of this as just something happening in school, right? We were doing these
Yes.
on like Saturday mornings. The kid is gonna put together a Zoom meeting for us to present. Yeah, it's like they're living in that real world where they're
Yeah.
recognizing that they need time and space to do this. This isn't something that happens between bells.
Yeah.
So,
And just finally, I'll say, you have a hard copy of your seat of our administrative goals, and next board meeting in October, we'll be joined by our administrative council, and they will come in for our annual curriculum conversation, where we can talk about our goals.
Great.
Wanted to get it to you early, so you
Great.
have time and not just a weekend to read it, because it's a thick document, so
That's so
I'm hoping you'll ask
helpful.
us
Thank
challenging
you.
questions next month.
Tell Melissa I'll be ready.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll tell her that. We changed some of the format a little bit, but I think I'll explain that at the start of the next meeting, but it's very similar to what you're familiar with. And I think it's self-explanatory, but they're really ambitious goals. And I know we're gonna do some really great things for our kids. I'm excited about this, so we'll have everyone here next month, so
Excellent.
if you help fit people, I can figure that out.
we may not be here
We
next
might
time.
not be here, we'll
Yes.
be somewhere else.
We might be somewhere in high school. Yeah, I think we might need a bigger space.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks.
Just a couple things from me. Ira, at the last meeting, asked to get some information about the supply chain and the issues that we've experienced here at Byram Hills. Fortunately, we've been pretty lucky in terms of cleaning supplies and various supplies we need for the school, paper, things like that. We've had no delays. Where we've seen delays is mostly things that are assembly line mix. So, for instance, a van that in last year's budget, we ordered a van and we still haven't received it, still on backorder. So that kind of thing is coming up. The generator at Coleman Hill, we're still waiting on that. That should be here by mid next month. So that's been significantly delayed again. Kind of an assembly line kind of product has been delayed based on just kind of.
Although we've done all the
Staffing.
work, we just really
Yes,
need to plug her in.
as soon as we get that, it's gonna hit, we'll put it on, hook it up, it's right.
The pad's
Everything else
there,
is-
everything is
We're
set
just
up.
waiting on that actual piece of equipment. And like Jen said, just kind of some rental things, like the lights, for example, for home.
Yeah.
With everything in Ida, all the constructions that's going on, they're holding on to those lights on the roads and everything and making repairs, so just kind of getting a hold of rentals in terms of lights for that example.
Kelly,
Something
is Steve Thompson finding any difficulty in getting, let's say, routine capital improvement, the materials, lumber and the like?
No, the first, it's when we did the HCC, the Commons, where we built the stands there, we were able to just get that material.
I know
there
there
wasn't
were
a problem.
shortages of those things.
Yeah, we actually got lucky with that, so it's kind of picking back the other way. And
Stay lucky.
yes,
Yeah,
that's what we'll do. But we made, Steve has a great relationship with who we buy
Yeah.
our cleaning
Yeah.
supplies, and it's really kind of helped us a lot, because they give us kind of first dibs on everything, so.
Great. Well, thanks for getting back on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I don't know if you had a chance to read my report in board docs, but we finally found a location for our cell receiver. If you remember, I don't know how many times we've spoken about this, we found locations, and then after doing an underground core check, we found underwater streams, and we found various things that the receiver won't be able to be located. So we found a location actually behind this building right here by Steve's building back here. So they're gonna give us a look of,
there's a big butt.
there's a button, yes. So they're just gonna,
I beg your pardon?
that didn't come out right.
A B-U-T,
Oh,
butt.
yeah.
oh,
So they're gonna take a look and give us an idea, give us some renderings of what it's gonna look like at a couple locations. Back here, Blair Road, Nash.
And it's a different pole than original.
Yes, originally we were talking about kind of that monopole, you probably see it on the highway, it's that big
the one
white
on the
pole.
hutch? Yeah, the bottle brush.
Looks like the tree. The
So,
tree.
yes, so
This
yeah,
is a fake tree.
so they've agreed to the
Tree.
tree, which is
It
good.
looks like the one.
So they give us some rendering of what it's gonna look like, on this side here, an entrance, so we'll know.
Who would put it up?
I'm sorry?
Who would put it up?
Verizon. Verizon.
Yeah. Well, that's near Blair, that's near the other escape hatches that were down there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this one's right down here.
Yeah.
A little past the shop
Okay.
area.
So the board
So-
will have time to look at what the rendering's saying. We'll
Yep.
have to
Then
go
we can
in
make
and
a
make a
decision going
decision
forward
at that point.
Got it.
Okay.
So what's the
Lots of
timing on
people
that, at some point this
What's
fall?
the timing?
At some point this fall, we'll get the drawings? or-
Oh, the drawing should be, I hope we'll have it at the next board meeting.
Got it.
Yeah, we can have that discussion. Okay. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about the food service program. Last year, every district in the nation was required, mandated to offer the National School Lunch Program. Seamless summer option was essentially free lunch for every student. This current year, it was an option for school districts. We're not required to actually enter into that program. And numerous school districts did that. So the high school and HCC are not on the National School Lunch Program as in the past. Again, you were required last year to be on it. Previous to last year, we've never been on the National School Lunch in the high school and HCC. Okay. So not being on that National School Lunch Program, it allows us to offer multiple choices for our daily meals. Whereas if you're on the program, you have to utilize government commodities that you receive to make those meals. So it gives us that option to offer different meals to our students on a daily basis. And also we're committed to high quality meats, more said meats, antibiotic and hormone-free chicken. And that's not available on the National School Lunch Program. You have to specifically use those commodities that are given to you, okay? And then we have a big a la carte program here at Byron Mills. And if you're on the National School Lunch Program, again, you're limited, restricted on the amount of a la carte items that you can offer.
Kelly, so you said that, oh, sorry,
Go back.
that
Sue's got
Crittenden and the high school are not on it, but what about Wampus and Coman Hill?
Yes, Wampus and Copen Hill are on the
They
school
are
lunch.
on it.
Correct. But again, there's the National School Lunch Program, and then there's what was last year was the National School Lunch Program, seamless summer option, which is a different option. You can't do that on a yearly basis. That was only for last year. So that free option for every student to get a free meal was only for last year.
Okay.
The National School Lunch Program is a different program that goes on a yearly basis.
So is that the
So-
needs-based program?
So yes, that's your standard program, that you can fill out the form for free and reduced, and if you
Okay.
qualify based on those factors, you can receive that. And that's still in place. Any student that fills out that form and qualifies based on those income
Only at
levels.
Coman Hill and Wampus?
Every school, that's every school.
Okay.
Yep,
I'm
even though we're not, yeah, I know it's confusing, a little confusing. So National School Lunch Program is the program as a whole. The seamless summer option was that free option that we had last year, that every school had, okay? So
That you
ones
were
like the national-
mandated to have.
Mandated, yes.
But I guess so this year, is there a difference between HCC and the high school and Coleman Hill and Wampus, or no, it's all this?
HCC and the high school are not on the National School Lunch, so we're able to offer multiple offerings for our students. Opposite, as opposed to Wampus and Coleman Hill, we do participate in that National School Lunch Program, so we do offer the commodities, but we also offer more products there. Okay, so it's not a requirement. It's a requirement for the free. That's where it gets confusing. It's a requirement last year for the free to use that, but not going forward just as the national program. Does that make sense?
No, I'm still confused.
Say it again.
So Coman Hill and Wampus
Are on the
kids
school
are
lunch
getting
program.
free, they're getting free lunches?
No.
Free lunch program was last year, mandated, everybody gets free lunch.
It's over.
Okay, that's over. It's gone. This is the national school, so National School Lunch Program is the program. The seamless summer option was last year. For
Okay.
us, okay?
And
That's,
done.
right. So if we wanted to continue that for this year, all schools, high school, HCC, Wampus, Coleman Hill, would all have to participate in the National School Lunch Program.
Okay.
Meaning, they wouldn't have as many options in HCC and high school. Okay.
Because it precludes you from.
So,
Or having more items, yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so another thing is, we offer fresh fruit within our schools on a yearly basis. So if you're on a National School Lunch Program, you're required to use only US products, produced, processed products in the US for fruit. So obviously the options for fruit in the winter are much different if it's just a US-based product. Whereas if you're off the National School Lunch, if you're on the HCC in high school, we can offer, pineapples and everything non-US related the whole school year, okay?
The second bullet is
Yes, this
this is what gets me.
This is the big, this was one of the big reasons why we're not. So students, so in order to qualify for a lunch, a free lunch last year, seamless soups option, right? You would need to take every component of that lunch, okay? So you would need to take your beverage, your fruit, and your meal. What we had last year, we had students that were throwing out some of that requirement, so they take the full meal, they just take the beverage and throw out the rest of the meal.
Right, so we
Or
were
they
watching full trays of food go in the garbage so that the kid could get a bottle of water.
We had significant waste.
Because you can't just get water.
And they'd still go back and buy.
Yes.
What they want.
So
They'd go back and buy snacks and
Right, they
pizza,
buy the chips
whatever
and
they
they buy
want.
the beverage and they
Right.
take the pizza, right? So we did have a lot of significant waste last year. And then they go back and they still buy their à la carte items. And really, in analyzing this whole idea, we found that we were just limiting our selections, portion sizes again are controlled. We're changing our portion sizes, and again, the waste, there was an extreme amount of waste last year. And then students were still doing the same thing, going and buying à la carte items, ending the free meal at the same time. So there was really some student frustration in terms of, going into line, you're required to take this, this, and this, so there was some frustration there. And then wait times and lines were extended last year as well, so that's something, with a new schedule at the high school, one lunch was something we were concerned about going forward as well. And then again, the waste. But anybody that needs free or reduced meals, they can fill out the form, absolutely, and just hand that in, and we'll definitely process that, and it shouldn't be a problem going forward. And there are other school districts in Westchester that are doing the same as we are with that option, with similar reasons as I stated. So if anybody has any further questions, again, if you wanted the free and reduced applications on the district website, under the services tab, and then food service, you'll see it right there. And then they can contact the director of food service and myself just to have some further discussion. I can kind of help them and guide them through. If they need the meals, we can work through that.
We've helped and supported families who, may have hit a certain crisis.
Yep.
Or it's something unforeseen in their families, and we've helped them through that, even if they weren't eligible, so.
So this is basically what we were before, pre-COVID?
Yes.
Well, we
This
did
is the same
before.
program we had before COVID. Last year was just an.
Last year was a special, again, a mandated year.
And the mandated year, it's like there's a certain portions, so you're allowed 3 ounces of this or whatever, and we're
Yeah,
not
right.
doing that the way we're
It's
providing
more that
just-
cafeteria,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 item kind of thing.
Hi.
Hope that makes sense. I know it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Kelly, is this presentation in there? I'm not seeing it in the agenda.
It's no, it's not on the agenda actually. No, I can put it on my site.
Can
Yeah, absolutely. And then I did get some emails from parents. I'll answer that tomorrow. I'll just fill in all the information I just spoke to you today about. Hopefully clear.
Thanks, Jim.
Got it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank
I have
you.
one more thing,
Yeah,
just to end, right? There's nothing else? Actually, before you end.
right, just before the
Yeah.
board reports.
Yeah, I think you can do board reports first, because there aren't any.
Got it. Okay, yep, does anybody have any board reports? I just have a couple of very quick things. First, that just so everybody knows, the New York State School Board Association convention, they had an issue with the hotel in the city because of COVID. Hotel's not opening for events as it was supposed to, and so it's going virtual, which means it's completely free and no cost to the district, and you can do piece parts virtually, so just look out for mail, because there could be some interesting sessions.
It's actually, we printed it for
Oh,
everybody.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. The other thing to mention for the next meeting is that just regionally, we've been talking about trying to do a SALT resolution language, because right now with all the discussion in Washington around taxes, this is the time to make sure that our legislative delegation knows that SALT is a real, or the lack of deductibility of state local taxes hurts this area tremendously, hurts our town, and so we'll put that for everybody to review for the next board meeting to see if we want to do a resolution. And I think I think that's all I've got. And then maybe I can just do the communications to the board.
Sure.
Which is just we have communication regarding bus safety from a parent.
Okay. I wanted to end, I know it's a somber note to end on, but I wanted to take time at the end of this meeting to talk about one of our teachers from the middle school who recently passed away, and we are all terribly mourning the loss of her in our school district, for our kids and for us as individuals. This was Kathy Shellhart. I would like, if with the board's permission, to read something that her children wrote about her, which I think is so poignant in describing the kind of person that she was to all of us. So, Kathy Jean Shellhart died on September 5th, 2021, in a moment of peace, having spent 69 years chasing her dreams. Though her death was sudden and devastating, she was surrounded by family in her final moments. Kathy was born in 1951 in Toledo, Ohio, and grew up in Toledo, Dearborn, Michigan, and Watertown, Connecticut, where she graduated high school in 1969. In 1974, she received her bachelor's degree in music education from the University of Connecticut and continued her studies by achieving her master's degree in music education from Ithaca College. Kathy built a 40-year career as a music educator with a unique ability to guide her students in realizing their full potential. Several have gone on to become world-renowned concert musicians. Her career spanned 4 countries in both private and public institutions, with appointments at Dartmouth Public Schools in Dartmouth, Massachusetts, Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey, private students in Hamilton, New Zealand, Victoria Teachers College in Melbourne, Australia, the American School in Japan in Tokyo, Japan, and a 20-year tenure at H.C. Crittenden Middle School in Armonk, amongst others. Kathy was versed in multiple pedagogies and studied directly under the Suzuki method. She was also skilled accompanist and performer of violin, viola, cello, bass, guitar, piano, voice, percussion, and world instruments. Her students and colleagues, who spanned a range of ages from 18 months and higher, and skill levels from beginner to collegiate, and cultures, can attest to the impact she made in their lives. Kathy was an avid adventurer and world traveler. She traveled through China, Europe, Southeast Asia, South America, and India, often alone and in remote corners. She explored with an open heart and mind, drank in new cultures, and made lasting friendships. At age 31, she moved intrepidly from New York to Hamilton, New Zealand, to take a position sight unseen, and there she met her future husband and later relocated to Melbourne, Australia, where they married. She moved several times again to Princeton, New Jersey, New York, and Tokyo, Japan, where she had her second child, Michael. She settled in Westchester County and continued to travel the world until her death. Kathy developed a global lens through her travels, which broadened her mastery of not only music education, but self-inquiry. Kathy was a lifelong teacher and learner who at every opportunity took continuing courses to remain at the top of her field. In the pursuit of growth, she branched out beyond music education into new modalities and spiritual practices, pursuing certifications in music therapy, meditation, and biosonic sound healing. She was a spiritual person who consistently sought communication with nature and inquiry into the human experience. Kathy was a dreamer who was always meeting the next challenge, conceiving the new idea, and planning the upcoming adventure in all her life endeavors. She had a thirst for life and modeled support of those around her. She believed in people, advocating for her students, children, loved ones, community, and global peers. She connected with people easily and gave of herself freely, living vivaciously with curiosity and tremendous empathy. She lives on through the love of her children, siblings, and communities around the world. And I just want to say, from our perspective, she was a great colleague, but just an incredibly great human being. I know that Gina was very much a part of the last few days of Kathy's life and was really instrumental in making sure that she was reconnected with her family. That speaks volumes to our community and how much we care about Kathy and everybody else here. She's going to be sorely missed. What an incredible legend of a life, right?
Absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
And with all the wonderful things she did all over the world, really, which
I know.
I didn't realize. I think just when you look at it closer to home, that we've all had kids in the middle school, and we go to the middle school concerts, and the middle school concerts are like a rite of passage. They're a beautiful thing, right? Where you have these kids who are learning how to play instruments, and they start in the elementary school, and now they're developing their passion, and it all comes together on those nights. And she was such an important, part of making sure those nights went off, not only without a hitch, but they're magical. And I'll always remember her for that. And so we definitely wish her family well, and we thank her for so many years of service to this district.
It's an incredible loss to our community. And she was so humble. This is why you never knew this whole Kathy Shalhar.
And did she receive a service award?
20-year service award.
That's right. That's right.
I think when we adjourn tonight, we should adjourn in her memory.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you for those comments.
So we'll, on a much more mundane issue, just get approval of the Board of Education minutes. So I'll do these separately because I know there were some people that may abstain because they were absent. So first we'll do approval for July 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any abstaining? Okay. And then I'll ask for a motion for August 19th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Any I'm abstaining. Okay. And then ask for a motion for August 31st, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. So with that, in honor of Kathy, and with her memory as a blessing, may I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, Pete.